What is up, guys? Just reached 90 million power. This is going to be my highest power now. We're 10 million away and really close to 100 million. It's been a long wait. My kills have been, 161 million now. It's crazy. We're getting there. I know a lot of people have been anticipating for me to get into the 100 million power. So soon enough, we will be. And the more we train, the better everything is going to be. Now, in today's video, we're going to talk about should you be upgrading your troops. And these are some of the things that I have been working on. These are some of the things that I have done. I'm going to share you my experience and not just something about, just talking about it, but real experience here in Rise of Kingdoms. If you guys are new to the channel, I want to welcome you guys. I'm Shinchi42, a sponsored content creator here in Rise of Kingdoms. If you like this video, you find this very helpful, consider subscribing and turning your notification on. This greatly supports the channel and I appreciate it. And if you guys have any suggestions and comments or concern, make sure to comment that in the comment section below as well. Guys, I want to do a quick rundown here onto the game that I have been playing. It's called Infinite Galaxy. It's a really interesting game. It's a new type of RTS game. I've been playing this game and as well as Rise of Kingdoms both at the same time, and it's really fun. Both of them have similar features. One has a little bit more detail, of course, a little bit more different, but both are fun. Both you get to meet amazing people and get to play with. So I suggest that you should consider checking this Infinite Galaxy game on mobile. You can actually check out the link in the description for all the information that you need. So in today's video, the main topic is, should you be upgrading your troops from the beginning, from like T1 to T2 to T2 to T3 to T3 to T4 and to T4 to T5. We're going to discuss this. I've made a video about this, like a long time ago. I'll put a link in the description and a card as well. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't seen that video yet. I think it's very detailed. It's like I said, it's a long time ago and it needs to be updated in here. All right, let me just go ahead and finish this one up just for you. All right. Okay. Let me go and purchase this. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. This is pretty nice. Thank you. Wow. That's dope. Oh, I accidentally bought that one. That's fine. All right. I was too excited. So, okay, upgrading your units. When you first start into the game, you're creating a bunch of T1s, and then eventually you're going to create a bunch of T2, and then you're going to be stuck a little bit in T3 until you get your T4. Now, should you upgrade your T1s to T3 or your T2 to T3, and then once you have that, upgrade it to T4? Now, my advice to you is, yes, you do want to upgrade your units, but not right away. You want to make sure that you wait for certain events before you upgrade your units. Now, in the early stage, like in the beginning, make sure that you are not training a lot of lower tier units, because this is a big mistake. Let's say you just first started into the game and then you're just training a lot of slingers or maybe a lot of bowmen, a lot of T2, and you think that since your power is increasing means that you're getting stronger. But honestly, it's wrong. What you need to do is make sure that you work on your technology first and keep unlocking the highest tier of units. And when does it really becomes relevant about upgrading? Now, I've mentioned earlier about upgrading from like your T1, moving into T2 or T3. These aren't the most relevant situations. Now, I have mentioned something about relevance of being T4. Now, one thing that you need to understand, once you get into the T4, that's when you actually start getting into your specialized type of troops. So as you can see, for me, bring a Britain civilization. As I get into T4, I am then able to unlock the longbowman, which is the specialized troop for the civilization. Now, understand that if you look into the power ratio of T1, it's going to give you 1 power per unit, and T2 is going to be 2 power per unit. T3 would give you 3 power per unit, and then of course T4 would be 4 power per unit. Now, the biggest gap is actually from T5. So you can see in this one, it's going to give you a power of 10. So that's a huge jump from T4. That's about 6 difference of power per unit. Now, one thing that you want to understand in here when you are upgrading your units, understand that they're all going to cost the same, right? So if I train one unit of this, as you can see, it's 800, 600, and 400. It takes me about 1 minute and 13 seconds. Now, I'll put a chart here real quick. Boom. There we go. Magic. Now, if I'm going to be training this, it's going to cost me 150, 112, 10 gold. Now, if I upgrade this, this is going to be direct to T5. Now, keep in mind, the system in Rise of Kingdoms, the way they are upgrading units, it goes straight to the highest tier. So I cannot upgrade my tier 3 going to tier 4. So that's not going to be possible, okay? So as you see, if I am going to add this, it's going to cost me 650, 488, and 390. So if you add this 650 plus your 150 earlier, then that's going to be 800 wood. And then 488 plus 112, that's going to be 600 stone. And then 390 plus 10, that's going to be 400 gold. The time it takes is 37 seconds. Now, if I'm going to train in here, as you can see, we just mentioned about the gold, much easier to remember, right? 400 gold. To train one tier 5 unit, it's pretty much the same cost at the end of the day when you are upgrading your unit. So any of these units, eventually when you try to upgrade into T5, they're all going to cost the same. All the math at the end of the day is the same. Now, the cost of time is also going to be relatively the same. There's like a 1 second difference though, if you actually add them up. Because to train a T5 is going to take you about 73 seconds, all right? As we have shown in the chart earlier. Now, if you are looking into upgrading your T4, it's going to cost you 49 seconds plus this 25 seconds. So that's going to be about 74 seconds. So there's a little bit of a difference in the time, just so you're aware. The big thing in here is the question, right? Still, when or why, or is it really good advice to upgrade your units? Yes, definitely a very good advice. Here's a few scenarios that you might want to consider things. Let's say you are kind of short on resources. You're kind of short on the speed ups and you have a lot of T4. Like per se for me, I have, abundance of T4. If I'm going to play into a power up event, this might be something that I should be considering. So like I mentioned earlier, from my experiences, like the Zenith of Power, when I competed for the Saints Hallow. So if you guys don't know what that event is, I'll put a link as well in the description and as well as a card on the top right corner of the screen. So this is an event where I had to compete for, Christmas event. It was a Zenith of Power, which I have really upgraded a lot of my units. So let's say if I'm going to be competing again, what I'm going to be doing is then I am going to be upgrading my T4 units to T5 unit. Now, why am I going to be doing that? Because we have understood that once you are working into your T5 unit from your T4, you're gaining 6 power per unit as you upgrade your T4 into T5, because this is going to be 4 power, and then this is going to be 6, and this is going to be 10 power gain. Now, that's one of the reasons why you would want to upgrade your unit. You want to reduce the time to use for speed ups when the time comes that you need to power up, and it's going to give you 6 power per unit, which is pretty good. And of course, the reduction of resources as well. Now, at the end of the day, you're consuming everything pretty much the same, but it's only for that specific time period of timeline where you're only going to maximize and benefit. Now, as we're done talking about events and the real reason why you want to upgrade your units, because that's pretty much it. In a normal day, what I would highly recommend is just train your highest tier unit if you are a spender. Okay, if you're a spender and you have a lot of resources and you can accommodate on healing, keep in mind that T5 units are quite expensive. Now let's take a look into the time to heal a T5 unit. As you can see in here, to heal one T5 units costs you 144 gold, 216 stone, 288 corn. This is going to be for cavalry. Now 3 seconds to heal, and one night is going to take you about 3 seconds to heal. It's almost about the same time. But let's take a look into the resources in your 8, 81, and 108. There's a big gap. Let's say we're going to heal 15 of these. It's going to take you 23 seconds. And 15 of T5 is going to take you 31 seconds. So just doing one in here doesn't do a whole lot of justice. As you can see, it was the same number. Right, 3 seconds. Now, if you actually train in here, as you can see, this is going to cost you about 12 minutes. If you upgrade this, 15 of these, it's going to give you 6 minutes in here. But when you do this 15 in here, it's pretty much the same actually to do this one as well. 15. So it's going to be about 18 minutes to train the T5 unit in here. Now, one reason why you want to train T5 is because of its high attack and high stats. And it's really good to have T5 in your arsenal. And it's about 0.67 times more when it comes to the time. But you can definitely see the big difference on the gold, because remember, this is 400 gold, and when you're training here, it's 20 gold. So it's a big jump when it comes to resources alone. The time is not so much, right? 1 minute 13 seconds is 73 seconds in here. This is about 49 seconds, so about 0.6 a difference in the time. But here's the thing, is the resources, and a lot of the free-to-play are, you know, they don't have a lot of resources, and it's expensive, right? To gather all that, if you don't have a lot, if you don't have a lot of farm accounts, which you should have, if you are really getting into the game. So really the big issue here is the cost of resources. Now, what I recommend in here is when you train your T5, if you're free to play, is to use these T5 on your Ark of Osiris, because they don't die over there, and you can bank them. And when you're going to fight in a war, when you're going to fight in KVK, I highly suggest to use your T4 first. Now, worst comes to worst, eventually you might need to fight with T5. Now, if you're going to be fighting on T5, make sure that you have resources to heal them, and you also have some speed ups just in case your hospital gets full, because T5 is a little bit more on both sides, resources and time. So make sure that you have a allowance for you to have that. Now, if you're a spender, pay to win, then it's not going to hurt you as much. You can probably accommodate. Another thing that you can do is whenever you're healing your troops, do a basically a speed hack healing, to where you click heal and set up maybe like 2,000 units, and then click help and then collect it that way. So that way you can keep on continuing without using any speed ups in there. But the biggest thing in here is, of course, the resources. So if you're free to play, like I said, make sure that you have T4 units. Don't only train T5. So the whales are going to be doing that. And when you start training your T5, I would suggest, even if you're free to play, train your T5 during an event so that you can win events and win some sculptures as well. Now, another thing that you need to consider is getting the items like the boost. These items are very helpful. Regardless of what it is, it's very crucial, because if you want to participate in an event, make sure you hit your boost and you can upgrade. Now, when you're using your boost, yes, do not do a upgrade on your boost, okay? Do not do this, because you can do it. Now, if you're doing the boost, plan it out how many days it's going to take for you. It's about 16 days, I believe. Boost it up, get T5 right away, okay? If you have T5. Now, if you're still in the T4 stage, then get T4. But I highly discourage you to do a boost on T4 to T5 upgrade, because it's a waste, right? I would rather just go through it, click, right? Now, if you're a whale, if you're a spender, if you don't have a lot of time, then that's the time that they do it. But for you, if you're free to play, just have the diligence and do it, because you don't want to waste those valuable items that can help you gain an advantage or give you a 5 steps ahead to gain points on an event, right? So ultimately, I think you should be upgrading your units. Upgrading your units is a very good thing. Will save you a lot of speed ups and as well as a lot of resources during the time period that you are going to be competing. So that's the only time that I would say when you should be upgrading your units during an event when you can win Legendary Commander Sculpture. Now, one thing before we head out, should you be upgrading your siege? So I know I've seen a lot of players who have T1 siege. One of the benefit for that is you can train a lot faster and you can have good amount of load. And the biggest thing is moving speed because T1 moves a lot faster. So that might be something that you might want to consider. You just train a lot of T1 siege, and then eventually you can upgrade them if you were trying to compete, right? But there's not a whole lot of major differences if you're going to upgrade your T1 to T5. It's still going to cost you a lot of time and resources. But that's something that you can do. You can keep your T1 siege. I personally don't keep T1 siege. You can always play it smart. You can farm nearby, farm in your alliance territory, because if you have a lot of T1 in your city and then you get attacked, you get rallied, let's say you slip up and it happens sometime, your hospital is going to get filled up quicker with your T1 without having to fight much, and you're going to have more casualty because as your hospital gets filled, the remaining troops that you have, the higher tier of troops that you have, will die and will get lost, and eventually you're going to suffer. So there's different type of strategies out there. If you're careful enough, maybe it's okay to have T1. If not, I wouldn't. So for me, I really just focus on this training the higher tier. Plus, it's bigger into the power, and you can always gather resources with other, troop units. Once you are in the level of where I am right now, 90 million power, you can accommodate with that with the different type of units, and they can have good carry loads. Like infantry has a good load actually for carrying resources too. So, but I mean, of course, siege units are the best when it comes to carrying resources. Now, guys, if I did miss something in here, let me know in the comment section below. Something else you want to talk about in the future type of contents, comment it below. Let us know. And besides that, keep having fun, keep enjoying Rise of Kingdoms, and stay awesome. I'll see you again next time.